Hey guys, welcome to Fanfic Fanatics. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku became Kazekage and fell for Temari? Movie. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is Izuku Yagi Kazekage of the Sand by Armored Lord 1115. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. Izuku have spent 4 years of his life in loneliness and solitude ever since the age of 4 when he got diagnosed as quirkless. He was thrown away like a toy who has served its purpose. The only time he got seen is when his half-sister along with her friends would beat him up continuously, all because he was quirkless, all because they wanted him to get rid of that dream of becoming a hero just to fulfill their selfish desire of having Izuku as their husband, unaware that they have been doing massive mental and physical damage to the poor boy. Izuku's school has shunned him and isolated him as he was seen as a waste of space who wasn't worth their time aside from being a punching bag to relieve their stress. Despite being smart, his grade was all-time low as the teacher couldn't believe that a quirkless would do better than those gifted. As for the nurse, well, she didn't bother to heal him unless they want to cover his injuries and risk having their school shut down. Izuku could be seen crying as he was sitting alone in a playground as he tried making a sand castle, but it could only crumble as he haven't made progress so far. Placing both hands on his watery eyes, he tried to stop the tears from flowing, but many more came out. Izuku crying, "Why? Why does my heart hurt? Why can't people love me? Am I a demon? Am I cursed?" "No, you are not a demon nor cursed." Izuku turned his head around to see a tall man with the same hair color as his and kanji on his forehead that says, "Love." A gourd was seen on his side as he sported a sad smile with tears coming out of his eyes. "Izuku, how can you say that, mister? You don't even know anything I have went through." The unknown man knelt on the ground, bringing Izuku into a hug, not letting him go from his grasp. Izuku couldn't fathom the warm feelings the mysterious man is emanating. His heart stopped hurting him, but it only made his heart happy. Izuku curious, "Mister, what did you do? My heart doesn't hurt anymore. Are you a doctor?" "No, I am not a doctor, but I know that the cure to your heart." Izuku, "Who are you, mister?" "The name is Gaara of the Sand, the 5th Kazekage of Suna, and you, Izuku, are my descendant." Izuku, "My descendant? Gaara?" "Yes, Izuku. Sadly the chakra art and techniques have been dying slowly, and I have been looking for someone who I can train to take the mantle of being the future Kazekage of the Sand Village." Izuku, "Does that mean I could be a hero?" Gaara, "Of course you can be a hero." Izuku, smile, "Okay, I accept." Gaara smiled fondly as he kept hugging Izuku for much longer period, making Izuku blush, but was happy with this kind of affection as Izuku hugged back. Gaara, "Now Izuku, I want you to return to home and rest because you will be training for the next few years to get strong and hopefully take my place as the Kazekage." Izuku, "Do I have to return there?" Gaara, "I am sorry Izuku, I am just a spirit, so I can't take you to Suna, which is dangerous to travel without proper training." Izuku, "Okay, as long as you are with me." Gaara smiled as he let Izuku out of his grasp, who stood up looking behind him to see Gaara still standing before he left to the hellhole. But now he is not sad, he is happy since he found someone who can trust him even if he is just a spirit who sadly and eventually leave him, which made him upset, but hopefully people would like him and be friends with him. No one pav. Yesterday was amazing for the 8-year-old as he met one of his ancestor Gaara, the 5th Kazekage, and was offered training to become a hero as well as become the future Kazekage. He went to school like usual, where he was isolated and bullied by his sister along with Shoto, Katsuki and Katsumi, but he didn't care as he still had a smile plaster on his face which made people think he is extremely creepy, but he didn't care as after the bell he took off the school heading towards the meeting point given to him, which is deep in the forest where there is a lot of sand around, and luckily this place isn't visited, so he and Gaara will have as much freedom as they need. Arriving to the location, he could see Gaara standing in the middle, arm crossed and a smile plaster on his face as he took Izuku in a hug, rubbing his back slightly, making Izuku happy, who hugged back. Gaara, "Good morning Izuku, it seems you had a good night's sleep." Izuku, "Yes, I was able to sleep well last night, all thanks to the medicine you gave me." Gaara, smile, "Are you ready to train into the shinobi art?" Izuku, "Yes, I'd love that." Gaara, "Now first you need to know about the powers that you will be using, and that is sand manipulation." Gaara then waved his hand, making objects out of sand like a soccer ball, a clone. Izuku, star eye, "That's cool, I like the sand clone." Gaara knew that he liked the clone because he wanted someone to play with, and that made him sad for Izuku as he saw how much they are identical to each other. Gaara. Also, you will be learning your chakra affinity, which you will add with the sand, making it much more harder and stronger and durable, and even immune to some extent to lighting and water. That will also increase the speed of the sand movement. After you learn that, you will learn how to be a shinobi, like how to use kunai, taijutsu and stealth, information gathering and many more. And lastly, we will nurture your knowledge and teach you about the history of Suna and the shinobi world. Izuku. I am ready. Gaara. Good. After you master everything, I will make you a Jinchuriki to the One Tail. He was annoying in the beginning, but now he is a good guy and he will also help you along the run. I will also give you the chance to meet him before he is sealed inside you, to see if you could work well together, which I am sure you can befriend him. Izuku. Happy new friend. He is like you more than I imagined. Gaara. A small tanuki appeared on Gaara's shoulder, who gave a calculative look towards Izuku as if he is sizing him up, and gave a nod. Hello brat. My name is Shukaku of the One Tail. I hope you are like Gaara here and not like my other previous hosts. Izuku. I sparkle. Mr. Shukaku, can we be friends? Shukaku. Sure, whatever. Izuku. Yay. Gaara watched in amusement to seeing the One Tail warming to Izuku and knew they would be good partner, but now they should start training him. Gaara. Now Izuku, I want you to sit in a lotus position and concentrate deep inside your stomach. You will find your chakra, which you will pull slowly and not fast, okay? Izuku. Nod. So I have to concentrate to find the energy in my tummy. Gaara. Chuckle. Correct. Izuku followed as he sat in a lotus position and concentrated on pulling his chakra from his stomach, as after a few minutes of deep concentration he found it as he pulled it slowly like he was ordered. Gaara and Shukaku were smiling at seeing him able to pull his chakra in his first try, which impressed them, as after a few minutes of pulling he fainted, with Gaara grabbing Izuku's head to not smash to the ground a little hard. Gaara. We will have to wait for him to wake up, which will take almost half day. Shukaku. What are you planning for him? Gaara. Gaara. I will train him to get strong, then leave him to grow on his own. Shukaku. Don't you think that will be cruel for the kid? Gaara. Sigh sadly. At that time he won't need me anymore, since he will find people to cherish. Besides, he won't grow if I stay with him all the time. It's like a bird spreading its wings and leaving its nest. I only serve as a guide to him, not a jailer. Shukaku. I have to agree with that logic. Just make sure the kid have some good memories before you have to part ways with him in the near future. Gaara. Smile. That I intend to do, even without you asking. Gaara then made out of ice a small bed as he placed Izuku in it, which he slept peacefully, making Gaara smile. Gaara. You still have a long way, Izuku, and I intend to fill the role of father. No one pav. Izuku is now 13 years old, as a lot of things happened those years he spent with Gaara. The first thing being is that both Gaara and Izuku developed a father and son relationship, and they pretty much talked about their life, with Gaara being the more talkative as he had more adventure stories to relay and gave wise words to Izuku about friendship and life and love. The second thing is that Izuku has become more confident and calm in every situation as he grew quite well, thanks to the nutrition he was given by his father, who had him steal money from his ex-parents' rooms, which to some people is a bad advice to give to a child, but this was either survive or die from starvation. Besides, it was his legal right to receive the basic human needs, and one of them was obviously balanced nutrition and water. Of course, the Yagi haven't noticed that there is missing money because they had a lot of money to throw on stupid accessories and games for their little princess Izumi, not to mention they had given Izumi a credit card to use, trusting her to use moderately, which is obviously not true, so that served as a good cover-up, as they would believe that Izumi is the one using the credit card. Izuku has also took some of the money and saved it to buy a nice house for him, only to live in with a few guest room, but that will take some time before he could buy it, which he planned to wait. The third thing, he was obviously trained to fight in every situation, and his manipulation of sand was quite amazing to say the least. That Gaara told him that he could rival him when he first became Kazekage, but if he is using beast mode then Izuku will lose. Izuku learned his chakra nature, which turned out to be earth, lighting and wind, just like his father, and he learned some jutsu to each affinity, but he hardly used since sand manipulation was enough for him to go by. The fourth thing he did was have a sand clone attend his classes, which was good for him since being around his father who praise him and encourage him to do his best was better than going to a school where your grades, no matter how hard you try, they slap you with a 0. Not to mention the other students including his main tormentors always like to give him the daily beating which he don't want to receive again. He also took the liberty of placing a layer of sand around him which acted like an armor which is durable and can take a lot of hits and even from explosion. The fifth thing he learned that some heroes are from Suna. One of them was a pro hero. He wasn't big in the industry but he was passing by. His name was Snatch, real name Sajin Higawara. He often traveled to Suna whenever he didn't have anything to do or to guard any high-level villains to their passage to Tartarus. The last thing they did was have Shukaku sealed inside him, who they managed to bond together well and had been working on their tailed beast mode and magnet style, but Izuku, just like his father, preferred to keep it a secret if the opponent proved to be deadly. Izuku could be now seen walking to the same location he always met his father. He wore a rather nice street clothes and had a small sad smile. He knew that his father time has come and he will have to part ways with him and spread his wings. He knew as much as he hated this, he need to get over it and man up and become who his father wanted him to be. He then arrive at a clearing where he see his father seated in a stone gazing at the sunset of the sky as he had his back to Izuku. Gaara. Son, can you please sit with me? Izuku. Of course, father. Izuku sat down slowly as Gaara slowly brought Izuku head into a hug, as this was his last time he will ever see him. Izuku knew what was on his father's mind and knew how hard it is on him to leave Izuku since he promised to be with him, but Izuku had no hatred for his father leaving. He knew he was a spirit and eventually he will have to pass on to heaven to see his adoptive son Shinki and his wife. Gaara. You know why I called you here, right? Izuku. Yes, I don't hold it against you. I knew eventually you will have to pass on, but all I could tell you is thank you for being there for me, father. Thank you for being the light in my darkness all those years, and thank you for believing in me and training me to become who I am today. Without you I would have become part of the quirkless suicide statistic. Gaara smiled sadly as he tear up slightly, bringing Izuku into a hug as they stayed like this for a long time. Gaara. I am glad that you understand where I stand. I was willing to bear your hatred for me leaving you like them. Izuku. I would never hate the person who lend me a hand to grab onto. Besides, there is a difference between leaving because you have no choice and abandoning me in favor for someone else. Gaara, smile. I guess my time is up. I will be giving you my last gift. It was the same as the one my mother left to me in my birth before she died. Gaara then started to fade slowly as nothing was left but particles in where he sat as Izuku let out a few tears, but now he is strong and he can't sit crying for his father death. That's not what he would want him to do. Instead he would want him to stand tall and proud. Izuku. I hope you are watching over me, father. Izuku then stood up as he walked away from the place. As he looked back once more before he left to his house, while walking he was looking to the sky as he sighed sadly. He was interrupted by a tap to his shoulder. Looking behind him he saw a male and female. The female was quite stunning in Izuku's eye, but he never showed any expression on his face. She was blonde hair with a fan attached to her back and she wore a kimono and a headband with the logo of Suna. The guy had a makeup, or rather a war makeup, as he had some type of hoodie covering him and had a smile on his face and a headband which had the village Suna symbol. Izuku. What does Suna people want with me? Temari. So you know. That confirms it. You are Izuku no Subaku. Izuku. Yes, I am. Konkuro. My name is Konkuro and this is my sister Temari. We came to take you home to Suna. Izuku. Sure, I have nothing attaching me here, so why not? Temari, cheerfully. Great. Konkuro, smiling. If you have anything you want to take with you, then go do it and meet us here. We will be waiting. Izuku. Okay. Izuku then walked away as he headed home, leaving the two shinobi to rest on a bench near them. Konkuro, teasingly, already like the kid. I guess it's true what they say, it's love in first sight. Temari, blushing. Shut up, Konkuro, or I will kill you. Konkuro waved his hand in front of him protectively. No. Please don't kill me. Temari had her hand on her fan in a threatening manner as they sat bickering slightly for 1 hour. That's when Izuku came with a small bag which had money, valuable clothes and water in a sealing scroll. As he is making a trip to Suna, he didn't bring too much food since he was taught in survival and even sat for a week in a forest with wild beast on his own. Konkuro. Well, that's small. Izuku. Well, my former parents weren't the nicest people and played favorites, so I didn't own a lot unless my half-sister decided to be a douche and destroy it along with her friends. Temari bit her lips. Why did you allow them to do this to you? Do you want us to kill them for you? Izuku. No need, both my former parents are pro-heroes in the top 5, so you would be getting into too much of a trouble with the Japanese government. Kankuro, sigh, fine. But you need to tell us what happened those years with you so we can help you. Izuku, smile, thank you. Temari, blush, no problem. Kankuro. Now let's get moving, it will take us 2 days to arrive to Suna by running. The three took a jump to the tree as they started their journey back to Suna along with the next Kazekage of the sand. No one pav. It has been 2 days ever since Izuku along with Temari and Kankuro started their run towards Suna village. At that time the three has got close through their talk as they have learned about Izuku life up until now in much more details. Kankuro was angry, but the one who was more pissed was Temari. She might not admit it loud, but she already have a crush on Izuku, but being a kunoichi in Suna that was praised for her skill made her quite dense when it came to relationship, as she didn't know if it's right of her to just outright confess after knowing the guy for only 2 days, or just grab him by the collar and smash her lips with his, or take it slow. That thought lingered through her head before she came to a conclusion. Temari thought, I will have to ask those two for advice. Kankuro had been observing his sister and realized how much she has been falling for Izuku every day, and brought him great joy that his sister that was admired for her beauty but also feared for her power and fiery personality that made any man have hard time asking her on a date because they weren't strong enough to take all of her. He could also see despite Izuku's talent at hiding his emotion, he had also took an interest in Temari, or more like had started to develop feelings for her, which was foreign for him as both him and his father were sometimes dense when it came to this department, but he knew much to not be outright of an idiot. Kankuro thought, I can't wait to be a brother-in-law, maybe even an uncle. Temari could already guess what was going through her younger brother's head, and she didn't like it if it weren't that Izuku being around. She would have shoved her scythe up his ass and it wouldn't be pretty, but she can't make bad impression in front of her crush. But her main concern is how to get back on those sluts that hurt her soon-to-be boyfriend. She know for a fact that Suna and Japan has maintained somewhat of a good relationship, that they would send a group of 3 to train in a hero school, so she know for a fact that they will be chosen, and she can't wait to make them kiss the ground beneath her. Temari. We are here, Izuku-kun. Izuku, smile, thank you Temari. Arriving to the village, it was quite big to say the least, but the houses are made of sand. But he can't deny that there are advanced equipment such as train that goes around the village and more, but there were no car, which was expected given that this is a village rather than a city. Izuku. It's like Dad said, Suna is beautiful. Kankuro. Well, I am glad you like it, buddy. Temari. Well, this is our village, I hope you like the people of the village. Izuku walked inside the village to be greeted by 2 shinobi who gave a look towards Izuku before they got on their knee. Guard 1. Welcome Izuku no Subaku. Guard 2. We hope you enjoy your stay here. Izuku. Please raise your head and thank you for the warm welcome. Guard 1. Thank you. Guard 2. Do you like us to escort you? Kankuro. There will be no need since he will be with us most of the time. Guard 2. Understood. You may now enter Suna village. Guard 1. Welcome home. Izuku went inside and what he saw took him by surprise. There were a statue in the middle of the village which was the 5th Kazekage Gaara, and next to him was a statue of the one-tailed beast Shukaku. Many people were seen placing flowers to the both statues as they made their prayer or wished before leaving. Temari. Quite a surprise, isn't it? Back then the tailed beasts were feared, but now they are seen as heroes to the village's most leader, like Uzumaki. Naruto had the 9 tails and was the hero of the shinobi world. The 5th Kazekage Gaara was also the same, not to mention Killer Bee, who was the 8-tailed beast host. Shukaku, who was watching from inside, was quite amused as he started snickering as he enjoyed seeing the same human revere him like they should. Shukaku thought, take that Kyubi, I was made a statue. Izuku was then guided to the Kazekage residence where Temari and Kankuro and it also have the office, meeting rooms and other important thing they should have. Izuku of course got looks of admiration from the people as they were told that the future Kazekage will be retrieved, and seeing his uncanny resemblance towards the 5th Kazekage brought more admiration to him as he waved to them with a small smile on his face. Temari. This is the Kazekage residence, I am sure you are well aware. Izuku. Yes, I quite understand. Kankuro. Let's go inside and greet the leader who would love to see you. Izuku raise eyebrow, I thought you would be calling him Kazekage. Temari. Kazekage is a title passed to the family, but since there were no family left except you, we made a leader, but he won't take the title. Izuku. I see, I quite understand, so I am being made Kazekage. Temari. Yes, the 7th Kazekage. Kankuro. Gaara adoptive son took the position despite his dislike towards the position before. Sadly, a war broke out and a lot went into hiding, so locating you was quite difficult to say the least. Izuku. How did you know? Temari. I am sure you know about Snatch. He saw you one day and was reminded of the 5th Kazekage, so he sent a letter to us which brought us here. Izuku nodded as they walked inside the building while being greeted by everyone who walked on the hallways. Temari stepped in as she knocked on the door lightly, which earned her a "Come in." Opening the door, they were met with an old man who had grandfatherly aura around him which screamed safe but also screamed power, as he had good posture for his age and wore a rather nice clothes, which is a suit quite surprising. Wilhelm. Hello, young Izuku, my name is Wilhelm van Astria, but just call me Wilhelm for short. I am sure you are aware that I am the current leader who have been taking over Suna until your arrival. Izuku. Thank you for your hard work, Wilhelm, it is much appreciated. I know that my father Gaara would be proud. Wilhelm was quite surprised, but Izuku filled him in what happened and he smiled softly but was angry at how Izuku meant a hard life. Wilhelm. Even in spirit he still protect our village. I expect nothing left from the legendary 5th Kazekage. Now that you told me your backstory, I can't let you return to them, so you will be staying with both Kankuro and Temari. I hope that doesn't bother you at all. Izuku. No, not at all. I am quite happy that I'd be more around this too, as I have grown close to them in this short travel. Wilhelm. Well, I am glad that you have made friends. They will be taking you in a slight tour around the village before settling in your new home, where we will deliver some clothes and other necessity you will need. Izuku. Thank you, that is much appreciated. Izuku was then walked outside as Wilhelm sat in his chair with a smile on his face as he gazed at the sunset while looking at the statue of the 5th Kazekage which had crowd around it. Wilhelm. The future is bright. I look forward to seeing what future you will lead us to 7th Kazekage. Streets of Suna. Izuku was seen walking around the village accompanied by Temari and Kankuro. Many people took picture of them as they were quite happy to see them. They then stood in front of a building that rivaled the Kazekage residence, and that was the hospital. It looked old in the outside and that is in the verge of collapsing, but it was strong and the interior had technology the likes that was never seen. Kankuro. Suna was not the type of village that focuses on the outside but rather the interior. Temari. Not to mention, when seeing such building you would expect crappy inside, which is good way to fool the enemy. Izuku. Well, that's a smart choice. They then started to move towards a tower which was the Suna Aviary. It's where they send messages to other countries or even villages. Kankuro. Although technology has been a massive help, we rarely use phones to communicate with others, as some people can hack it, so we use birds as they are unpredictable and they can get in between other birds, which makes it difficult to determine the one. Izuku. Takes time, but it's a nice way of thinking. They then walked to their final destination for the day, and that is Suna Greenhouse. It's where the medical ninja work to make antidote and raise rare herbs. Inside it is also made to preserve other herbs that can't withstand Suna hot air. Temari. This is Suna Greenhouse. It's where medical ninja are most of the time to make antidote for diseases that they don't have cure for. Izuku. Well, that is quite nice to see. Back in my city nobody was interested in becoming a doctor. It was either becoming a hero or be forced to be another thing which you wouldn't give it your all because you never liked it. Kankuro. That's why we are different than Japan. Do you know that Japan buy for 100 of thousands of our antidote to use it? Izuku. Yeah, I have read a lot that most antidote was made by Suna village. Temari. Well, good, at least they didn't claim that they are the one who created the antidote. They then decided to call it a day as they walked once more to the Kazekage residence as they opened a door revealing a rather luxurious house. As he was greeted by a beautiful living room, next to it was a dining table of 6 and a counter to cook food. Temari. Welcome to your new house. Kankuro. Let's take you to your new room. I think you will need to rest after that tiring day. After all, you just arrived from a 2 days travel. Izuku. Thank you, Kankuro and Temari. Temari. Don't mention it. They then guided Izuku to his new room, which was amazing as it had everything he would need to get by, as it was much better than his old room by 10 times. Temari. We will leave you to rest. We will wake you up a few hours later to eat with us, so good night. Izuku. Good night, you too. Kankuro. Good night. Izuku then sat on the bed as he placed everything in the table next to him before he adjusted himself in the bed and closed his eyes only to sleep like a log. No one pav. Sunagakure. It has been 2 weeks ever since Izuku returned to his true home Suna. He was quite happy as quirks are rare here and instead chakra are exercised. Nobody outside the village could learn chakra except few who were part of shinobi family, so things were going well for him as he revealed his status of being the Jinchuriki of One Tail, and the people were amazed that they pretty much revered him, and Shukaku, who was quite smug although Izuku asked them to treat him normally since he is getting used to being in Suna, which they respected to not make him uncomfortable. The first thing Wilhelm did when Izuku got more comfortable in his first week, he decided to see his current level, and they were astonished to say the least. He was at least high chunin, maybe even jonin, since Izuku never really used one-tail beast mode, so that was scary in itself, not to mention Izuku had Gaara ultimate defense which protects him without being ordered, which pretty much made him a quite deadly foe unless you have speed, but Izuku was no joke in taijutsu and is able to fight but not at the same level as a master taijutsu. Izuku was also tested academically as he done quite well himself. He didn't score perfect but he was still doing quite well himself, so he was given political and economy books to read from in those 2 weeks so as to get ready to take his rightful position as the Kazekage. Izuku also in his 2 weeks stay at Suna had managed to get a massive fun club, making a certain blonde jealous, but Izuku never reacted to them aside from thanking them or just smiling, but he never initiated the talk with them. Izuku has now few months of freedom before he become the Kazekage at a mere age of 14, which is the same age as his father when took the Kazekage position. Temari pav. Sunagakure. Today was like any day, a sunny day. I've been spending those 2 weeks deciding on what to do next with my feelings towards Izuku, but I don't know if I am making the right step or I never understood relationships. I am seen in front of a door as I knock on it. Knock, knock. The door creak open to reveal one of the 2 girls who are a massive fan girls of Izuku ever since he came back. I wonder how will they react when they learn that I am in love with him, so I can't tell them Izuku's name or they will refuse to give me advice despite how crazy they are. These 2, they are the best when it comes to relationship advice. Lady Temari, what brings you here? Temari. Yukata, is Matsuri here as well? Yukata. Yes, Lady Temari, please come inside. I nod as I walked inside the simple home interior. It had basic furniture to serve their needs as we are shinobi, so it's hard to keep any valuable stuff if you could die in a mission, and they also don't have any relatives so they only have themselves. Matsuri. Lady Temari, I didn't know you were visiting. Temari. Sorry for the short notice but I need advice about a thing that I have been facing for 2 weeks now and you 2 are the best when it comes to those. Yukata, smirk, is it a boy? Temari, blush then sigh, yes. Matsuri beam along with Yukata as they dragged Temari to the couch with Yukata bringing coffee machine as she placed a cup pouring for the 3 of them. Temari. Thank you Yukata. Matsuri. Now enough of this, tell us who's the boy. Temari. Sorry, I can't tell you his name right now. Both Matsuri and Yukata pout slightly but were amazed that Temari would even consider dating someone considering her scary and fiery personality, so nobody wanted to date her despite how good looking she was in her rights because no one can handle her rather short temper. Matsuri. Fine, but you need to tell us what is the problem. Temari, sigh, I just recently met him but he rarely show emotion because of his childhood, so I don't know if I should confess to him or assert dominance by smashing my lips to his or just take it slow. Yukata, thinking pose, I think I know your problem. You were raised most of your life to train and become strong kunoichi, so having relationship was not something that was in your mind up until you met the mysterious boy, so I think you should drop the last one since you don't know he could be taken away from you, which you will end up regretting. Also option 2 is out of the question since you don't know if he might have the same feelings or you're just being forceful on him. Remember you said it yourself, he doesn't have the nicest childhood, so option 1 is the best right now. Matsuri. But first tell me, what do you 2 do together? Temari. We eat together along with Konkuro. We sometimes goes on to shopping which we enjoy, or that at least what I think since he never complained. Yukata. He has the same feelings for you but he just don't understand it as well. I guess you found someone like you who is relationship awkward. Matsuri. It's best if you try to have a lone moment with him and spend as much time with him. If he blushes around you or show to talk more than he usually does, then that means he quite like you and that he enjoy your company. Temari took a thinking pose as she shut her eye, trying to remember some of those times she spent with Izuku, and she could always see the red tint in his cheek whenever they talked alone, but she usually brushed it as him feelings hot because of Suna. Whether there is also the fact that Izuku talks to her more than Kankuro, so that confirms that these isn't him being friendly or seeing her as just a sister. That made her heart calm down, realizing that she have a chance and all she needs is to confess and play her cards correctly. Yukata. So, Temari. You were right, he usually blushed around me, but it was small, so I usually blamed it at the temperature in Suna, not to mention he is more talkative when with me than Kankuro. The two girls squeal in happiness as their lady Temari will have a boyfriend of her own, which made them quite satisfied. Matsuri. Now go get your man. Temari, smirk, you don't need to tell me. Izuku Pav. Sunagakure. Kazekage house. I was sitting in the living room enjoying some warm tea while looking at the sunset. It was the same sunset where my father had his last moment, and it's where I met Kankuro and Temari, the one person that has been clouding my mind for 2 weeks now, but being shunned most of my life made it hard for me to understand those feelings, so I was dense. An arm found its way placed around my shoulder in a friendly way. Looking behind me, I was met with Kankuro, who had a smirk on his face. Kankuro, smirk, so are you thinking about my sister? It was more of a fact rather than a question, so obviously my natural reaction was blushing, which made Kankuro laugh in joy. Kankuro. Called it, you love her, don't you? Izuku. I don't know what you are talking about. Kankuro. Don't try to deny it, God, both of you are dense when it comes to this. I obviously glared at him with my sand forming around me in a threatening way as he waved his hand protectively. Kankuro. Hey, come on, I was messing with you. God, you two are scary. I sigh once more as I calmed down. It was no point killing her brother because killing is not my thing, but this is an opportunity. The guy doesn't seem to hate the idea of me dating his sister, so I have to take a leap of faith and just tell him. Izuku, sigh, sorry Kankuro, but yes, you are right, I do love her, but I don't know how to tell her. Kankuro sat down with a smile as he placed his arms on the table before looking towards me. Kankuro, smile, no need for apology. When you have a sister who threatens you every day, you get used to it. Besides, I am glad that my sister found someone who is like her. You see, nobody can handle her and her fiery personality, and it was the first time she ever had that feelings for someone or be rather kind and submit to anyone, which is something you never see of her. I was surprised that happened, but then again, due to my past, I never really thought someone would even have feelings for me, so I just swallowed it, but now it made me slightly relieved. Izuku. Do you think she likes me in a romantic way? Kankuro. Weren't you listening? She obviously likes you from the day she met you. She just doesn't know how to tell you that she likes you. She is torn between just confessing or just grab you by the collar and smash her lips with yours, or just give you chance to get used to the village and get used to people actually noticing you and respecting you, which is something you never experienced in your old home. Hearing Kankuro, I could only blush, but I was more relieved that Temari had feelings for me as well and that it wasn't a lost cause. Izuku. So how do you suggest I confess my feelings to her? Kankuro. Well, you will just have to tell her your feelings, why you like her, then ask her on a date around the village, but make sure to have a plan made ahead of where to take her so you don't go wander around without any aim. Then prepare stories to tell her so the date won't be awkward. That's all I could tell you. I could only nod my head. I guess I will have to ask Wilhelm more about the village so I know where to take her. I stood up from my chair. Izuku. Thank you for the advice, Kankuro, I really needed that. Kankuro. No problem, little bro. Izuku. Little bro. Kankuro. Yeah, little bro, after all, if things went well I will be your brother-in-law. Izuku, smile, that doesn't sound bad. Kankuro smile as he also stood up, giving me a bro hug before he left to his room. Izuku and Temari. I will confess to Izuku, Temari. No one Pav. Yagi household. In an average size home we could see a small family of 3 sitting in a table enjoying their time together, unaware of Izuku's disappearance. They have been celebrating for quite some time, but Izumi was tense the whole time. It had been a week and Izuku hasn't returned home, nor have he been going to school, as Izuku didn't find the need to send sand clones to attend his classes any further. She just thought that the school would have warned her parents of Izuku skipping classes, but they never did. Izumi though, why the hell is this school haven't told my parents about Izuku already? Izumi was a lot of things, and one of them is being naive to her, the bullying. Suicide baiting and isolation was for the greater good. She never thought that she did anything wrong. She only saw her playing the role of a good sister who was trying to wake her brother from his false dream of ever becoming a hero, but that will come biting her at the end. Not to mention she still believes that the school will warn the parents, but they simply didn't care to waste time on asking on a quirkless wannabe hero. Inko. Honey, you have been staring at your food for 10 minutes. You are worrying us. Izumi looked towards both her worried parents as she sighed once more and decided to just come clean about Izuku being gone. Izumi. Mom, Dad, Izuku haven't attended classes for a week now and also haven't been home as well. I am worried and have been wondering if the school have informed you. Toshinori. What do you mean he has been gone for a week? He wouldn't run away like that. Inko. I was never told about Izuku skipping classes. Did you really make sure to check his room? Izumi. Nod. I did, and it was empty. Even his wardrobe was empty of clothes. Inko then stood up from her chair as she rushed towards Izuku's room. To be honest, she was shocked. Izuku's room was quite messy as the wall's color was fading compared to Izumi's room, who was being remodeled every now and then to her taste. She started to wonder how come this room came to such a state despite it being better before, but she remembered the last time she stepped foot in the room was when he was 4. She then tried to remember anything that had to do with Izuku, but it came as blank. In a frantic she rushed to her room to see the family album that they keep. Opening to a few pages, it showed pictures of Izuku when he was 4. It was quite adorable and made her but later Izuku has become less and less in pictures, not to mention the painful expression that was shown on his face. She kept flipping pages until he was no longer in the picture. She didn't realize how much they have been pushing him away all those years. It was then that tears started to leak out of her eyes. She not only have no recollection of her son, but she also doesn't have even any decent picture beyond the age of 4. A firm hand was placed on her shoulder, breaking her out of her stupor as she looked with tears to see her husband, who had a grim expression as he saw the state of the room and the album. The fact that he didn't realize his son's suffering was like a spear was launched to his heart. How could he? He was like him, a quirkless nobody who was shunned by society beliefs, and he just didn't see the signs because he was too obsessed in being the #1 hero and Inko husband and Izumi father rather than being Izuku father as well. Inko crying. Toshi, how did this happen? Toshinori. I understand, Inko. I feel like a failure. I was supposed to be there for him. And help him like how my master did to me, but I am no better than those quirkist people who shunned me back when I was his age. Inko. But he is gone, Toshi, and all because we were blind to notice. I remember the time he would try to call my attention, but I would always answer him that Izumi is priority, and sometimes I would flat out ignore him. Toshinori. I did the same thing as well, Inko. You are not the only one in the wrong. Izumi was watching her parents breaking into tears and blaming themselves for Izuku being gone, and she also realized how much she took her beating far. She honestly saw that she was in the right, but she was no better than a villain that she swore to defeat. But she can't just tell them that she partook in something horrible as bullying. She will have to tell the others about this because this became a problem all are accountable for. Inko. What should we do now? Toshinori. We will have to obviously come clean to Principal Nezu, Detective Naomasa, and Aizawa. We might need their help if we ever hope to find Izuku again. Inko. Do you think they will help us? Toshinori. Yes, they will help us, although they will never see us in the same light again, which I am willing to risk. Inko. Me too. I can't let you do this alone. We will find him and own to our mistake, and if he doesn't want anything with us, then we will respect his decision. Toshinori. Don't say that. I am sure he will forgive us in time, but we need to show him that we are serious about making it up to him. Inko. Okay. Toshinori then lifted Inko as he placed her on the bed to help her relax after such a stressful news. As he took the phone out and brought out the contact of Nezu, he contemplated for a few seconds, but he knew this was now or never, so he dialed the number. Nezu. Hello, All Might. Toshinori. Nezu, I need your help. My son Izuku ran away. Nezu. I am coming right now with Aizawa. Nezu then hanged up as he griped his paw and looked towards Aizawa, who was sitting drinking his coffee. Nezu. Aizawa, we need to go to All Might house. Aizawa. Can't I relax for once without him causing problem? Nezu. Their son Izuku ran away. Aizawa, wide-eye, I am coming. Toshinori looked at his phone as he have already made calls for Principal Nezu and Detective Naomasa, which should be here in an hour. He sighed as he sat down in the bed, his hand covering his face to hide his pained expression. 1 hour TIMESKIP. We could see Inko and Toshinori seated on a sofa. In front of them was Principal Nezu of UA, Aizawa, Eraserhead, Detective Naomasa. Aizawa. Hold on just a fucking second. You want to tell me that you neglected your son for 9 years of his life in favor for her, points at Izumi, and you tell me that you didn't notice the signs for 9 whole fucking years, not to mention her, points at Izumi, thought it was a good idea to bully your brother along with your friends just because he wanted to become a hero. I knew this family is spelled trouble the moment I saw you all. Nezu looked at the detective who had shocked face, and he got his confirmation. He took a sip of his tea as he rubbed his forehead from the bomb that was just launched at them. Nezu. I would have reprimanded you all, but the fact that you came out and confessed everything means you are serious about redeeming yourself. But I will be honest with all of you, the likely chance of him surviving out on his own is really small. I'd say around 2% given how you described his physical and mental state and from what the photo in the album told us. Inko weakly, we understand, Principal Nezu. Detective Naomasa. I am honestly disappointed in you three and how you handled the situation, but I commend you for coming out clean. It takes a lot of guts for that to happen, but if we ever find him and he decided that he doesn't want to return to you, we won't be able to pressure him given that he would probably be suffering from trauma. There is also Izumi confession to add. It seems she was made to believe that her action was the right thing, all because of Mr. Bakugo and the school staff, which we will be having an open case made by me since nobody would dare even look for a quirkless kid. That is the harsh reality of the society. Nezu. I will also be taking over hacking their school database and make sure they don't attempt deleting the recording. Also Izumi, your friends will be questioned in their involvement, and if they tried to hide it from us or insult Izuku, then their punishment will be much more worse than yours. I recommend you go to a family psychiatrist to help you on learning about how to handle the situation in the near future. If Izuku ever decided to return to your family, which is high unlikely, we will of course take over the search party. Toshinori. Thank you, Principal Nezu. Detective Naomasa and Aizawa, I am sorry for bothering you with my failure of holding onto my father role. Inko. I also thank you as well and apologize for bothering you with my failure of upholding onto my mother role. Izumi. I also apologize for not upholding onto my sister role and for being a bully. Aizawa. At least you learned from it. Nezu. Now we will be taking our leave. I do hope you take my advice and see a counselor. Toshinori. Will do, sir. Detective Naomasa. Good luck, Toshinori. I hope you own up to your mistake. The three left, leaving the Yagi family to try and fix what little left of their family, but they all know the road of redemption will be long and grueling, but they are willing to do it. No one Pav. Location. Sunakagure Village. Time. 11:35 a.m. Izuku could be seen in the Kazekage mansion, and right in front of him was Temari. She had a blush on her face and she was fiddling with her finger. Izuku wasn't faring any better, but the two knew they should have this talk. Izuku, shyly, Temari, I want to ask you something. Temari. Well, what are the odds? I want to ask you something as well. Izuku. Well then, how about we say it together at the count of 3. Temari. Okay. They count down from 3 to 0 before they shouted at the same time. Izuku and Temari. Can you go out on a date with me? Both blinked twice before their face turned beet red, but they were relieved that their feelings were mutual. Temari, smile, so the feelings is mutual, huh? Izuku. Yes, I've already made plans for our date. Does 2:20 p.m. sound good with you? Temari, excitedly, yes. She then stood up as she pecked him on the cheeks, making Izuku blush more as she left to her room to prepare, while Izuku sat down with a smile as he touched his cheek, feeling proud of himself as he stood up as well to prepare himself and make sure there is no problem with his reservation. No one Pav. Location. Sunakagure Village. Time. 2:20 p.m. Izuku could be seen in his room changing from one cloth to another before he settled into one that fit the occasion that he is going into. It was a red kimono, underneath it was a black shirt. Izuku then walked out to see a beautiful sight. Temari had her braided to cover one of her eye with 2 buns. She wore a really nice kimono which showed her curves, which was covered by her chunin flak jacket. Izuku blushed and she also blushed at seeing Izuku in a red kimono. We could see in a corner of the house someone laying on the ground while holding a camera and taking pictures. Konkuro, mutter, good. I am cheering you on, little bro. Konkuro then sneaked out of the room undetected, but he was noticed from the beginning but didn't pay him mind really, so Izuku brought his arm out, which she smiled and took his arm into a lock. They looked perfect together. Temari knew that those fangirls are going to lose it, especially those two when they learned that she seek advice from her love rivals, but she is strong and high in Suna, so they won't do anything. Izuku opened the door as thanks to the book he read he knew what to do. Izuku. After you. Temari. Thank you. Temari walked outside followed by Izuku, who closed the door behind him quietly before he placed the keys inside his kimono in a pocket before he grabbed her arm once more in a lock and started heading towards the streets of Suna. The moment they set foot on the ground it became a madness as a girl spotted the arm lock, and in a matter of seconds all girls were in denial and sulking. The one who was damaged in all of this was Matsuri and Yukata. Matsuri. We helped our rival. Yukata. How did this happen? Izuku didn't mind really the attention, nor did Temari mind, as they walked towards a restaurant that is quietly known to sell high-quality food, and its owner is quite a diligent guy who uses his own hand to make the food. Temari. You didn't need to reserve to such an expensive restaurant. Izuku. Well, this is our first date together, so at least I have to make it memorable. Besides, money isn't the issue because of my position. Temari. Sigh. Fine. If you say so. They walked inside after checking their reservation with the receptionist. They took a table next to a window which shows them the village. The room was a VIP obviously, so they were pretty much the only ones, which was perfect for the two since they won't have that unnecessary stares from the villagers. They ordered their food, which they decided to wait until it was prepared, which they spent talking and their plans for the future, with Izuku contributing more in the talk after taking the advice of Konkuro, which made Temari quite pleased and happy that the date wasn't awkward since she can't start conversation because she is unlike girls today. She is a kunoichi who is dedicated to her title, so friendship or even lover was not something that she would think about. The food came as they started eating, but they never stopped talking. At the end they finished their meal. They were quite happy and Temari was smiling a lot more than she usually did, which warmed Izuku's heart that she enjoyed the date with him. Temari. Smile. Thank you Izuku, that was the best date ever. Izuku. Smile. I also enjoyed it as well. Besides, I am glad that you were happy, it makes it so worth it. Temari. After the dinner she became more comfortable and bold. She then stood up as she sat on Izuku's lap. Izuku blushed obviously, but he knew where this was going, so without speaking they got close before their lips touched each other. The kiss was something both never expected. They loved it, so Temari closed her eyes as she wrapped her arms around his head while Izuku wrapped his arm around her hips and head. They deepened the kiss, unaware of Konkuro, who was taking millions of pictures. The two parted from the kiss as they panted slightly, but they both loved it. She then stood up from his lap as she adjusted her kimono and smiled as Izuku stood up as well and decided to leave the restaurant to do other stuff he had planned, which varied from playing games, eating ice cream, then watching the sunset. It was a day both of them will never forget. Temari. Thank you Izuku, I enjoyed today's date. Izuku. Me as well, but that won't be the end. Temari. So does that makes us what they call boyfriend and girlfriend? Izuku. Yes. Temari squealed before she jumped to kiss Izuku once more, with Izuku reciprocating the kiss. They were smiling and laughing the whole time. No one pav. Location. Sunagakure. Time. 12 p.m. Today is Izuku's 14th birthday of Izuku, as he will become the 7th Kazekage of the Sand. This was a joyous occasion for all of the village as people are holding banners and candles and holding stands, so when he is announced as the 7th Kazekage officially they will started celebrating till tomorrow. Random villager. Can't believe he will take the position at his age, do you think he can handle it? Random villager 2. Hey. Don't doubt Lord Izuku, he was said to have exceptional power in his first week here that he was promoted to Jonin immediately, not to mention he is extremely smart, giving him an IQ of 175, which is extremely amazing. Random villager 3. I have to agree, even the 5th Kazekage Gaara took the position at around the same age as well, 14 to 15, not much between the two, and he became a legendary shinobi and a hero to the Sand Village. Random female villager. Well, they did say that Sir Wilhelm will take certain things if it turns out to be too much for his young lord, but I don't doubt he can handle it. Besides, at some point he along with Lady Temari and Lord Konkuro will head to Japan to join UA as a part of peace treaty between them. Random villager. TCH. Those Japan folks are extremely annoying, can't believe we're putting up with them. Random villager 3. I feel you man, now let's go have some drinks to celebrate the young lord. Random villager 2. Hey. Don't leave me out of this. The three villagers left, leaving the female villager to shook her head in amusement as she looked at the Kazekage tower. Random female villager. I guess boys will be boys. I do hope everything goes well. No one POV. Location. SUNAGAKURE, Kazekage Mansion. Time. 12 p.m. Izuku was seen wearing a blue shirt and on top it was the white robe which had the kanji for 7th Kazekage. Izuku held a small smile as he is now one step closer to his dream and he could already see his father Gaara cheering him on from the afterlife. He chuckled before the door was opened revealing Temari. She wore her ninja clothes and had her battle fan closed next to her. She had a deep smile plaster on her face. Temari. Are you ready for today, dear? Izuku smiled. Yes, Temari-chan, I am well prepared. Temari then walked towards him as she pulled him for a kiss to the lips. As he reciprocated it, she then separated from the kiss as she gave him a smile. Temari. Wow, can't believe it had been 5 months since we started dating. Izuku smile, and I don't regret it. Temari smile, me neither. Now let's go. We don't want Kankuro teasing us for being lovey-dovey. Izuku chuckled as they walked out using Shunshin. Well, in Izuku case it was Sand Shunshin as he appeared in the office of the Kazekage. Wilhelm. Ah, Kazekage Dono, are you ready for your coronation? Izuku smiled. Yes, I am quite ready. Wilhelm nodded as he took the Kazekage hat and walked towards the roof of the building where they will be announcing everything. The villagers were seen gathered around in front as they saw the man walking to the railings. Wilhelm. Hello people of Sunagaku. We come here today to announce the new Kazekage of the Sand. It has been more than a century since we had one and we are proud to have survived for much long, but today is history, for we have found the Kazekage who will take the office and lead our villager to prosperity like how the 5th Kazekage Gaara did. So now I want you to welcome Izuku Subaku. The villagers cheered loudly then before as Izuku walked with his white robe as Wilhelm handed the Kazekage hat where Izuku placed it with pride as he gave a smile to the villagers. Izuku. I would like to thank each and every one who supported me up until now. Those are Wilhelm, my girlfriend Temari, my brother Kankuro, and the 5th Kazekage, my father Gaara Subaku, and Shukaku the One-Tail. I would like to promise each and every one of you that despite my young age I am quite capable and will make sure to lead the village to prosperity, but I won't do it alone. I have my family and you guys, my second family, to help me along the way, for you all are my power. For a village is not about its resources or how much land they own, but it's about its people. As long as the people of Suna are alive, then Suna is alive. Everyone was on edge as after Izuku released his inspirational talk the villager erupted in cheers as some even started to cry in joy. Wilhelm. This speech will be written for future generations. Temari. Agreed. Kankuro pout, man, how come I don't have ways with words like he does? Temari smirk, because you are an idiot. Kankuro depressed, sometimes you are mean big sis. I feel like Izuku is the only one who appreciate me. Temari sigh, if it makes you feel any better I can't say speech, I find it boring and not my style, so I guess that's something we have in common. Kankuro smiled as he held his head high as he watched his little brother back with the sun shining on the kanji of 7th Kazekage, and to everyone's surprise a glowing hand was seen placed on his shoulder. Looking at the owner of the hand he saw his father Gaara. Everyone was in disbelief and were holding their breath. Gaara smile, congratulations son. You have made me proud, now go become a good Kazekage for me and lead Suna to prosperity. Gaara then faded away without any trace as Izuku started tearing slightly before he wiped it away and gave a warm smile. Izuku. That I will. Everyone then exploded into cheers as the 5th Kazekage came from the grave to give a message to his son that was something that will be recorded in every book of history. Villager. Holy crap. The 5th Kazekage came himself. Villager 2. Suna is in good hand. Villager 3. Lord 5th is protecting Suna in spirit. Izuku then smiled as he walked away only to be hugged by Temari, who kissed him while Kankuro hugged him. Kankuro. Man, even spirits as well. What else are you going to show us? Wilhelm. I can't say I expected this outcome, but now that solidify any who had doubts about you being Kazekage at 14, but now let us lead you to your new office. Izuku then walked away leaving the villagers to celebrate as Wilhelm opened the door revealing the well-furnished Kazekage office as Izuku then removed his hat and placed it on the table before he got sat down in the leather jacket with both Kankuro and Temari taking both sides. Izuku. Now let's lead Suna to prosperity. No one POV. Location. SUNAGAKURE. It has been a year so far and Izuku is now 15 years old. As true to his words, Suna had undergone massive changes and in a positive way as Izuku had made sure to restore Suna to its former glory. The first thing he did was place a box in an office where the villagers would place their requests and opinions on what they think could better the village. At first the elders wondered why would he do something like that, but he made a valid point that he wouldn't always be there to see what happens and that people of Suna are more aware of their surrounding. That was also announced in the roof of the Kazekage tower, and people were enjoy that their opinion will be taken into consideration, and those who had doubts about him being Kazekage was gone. With this one single choice it already made a massive impact on the village itself, as many elders who participated into illegal thing behind the Kazekage back was captured and prisoned, and depending on the crime they would be executed. It hurt Izuku, but he knew that peace won't come without shedding some blood. There were buildings that were created to house orphans, and economy has been booming in Suna as people were living a good life. Nobody was oppressed without being punished for it, and nobody lived in the streets under his watch as he created jobs so those who don't want to be shinobi would simply choose another simple job that pays them well. Izuku has also got engaged with Temari, and they have already made plans to get married pretty soon before UA starts, and that was a good news to the entire village as the fangirls has became less and less and chose to move on from it and just accepted it, and even were looking forwards to seeing the wedding. Now we could see Izuku in his leather chair filling and signing some papers. As close to him was Kankuro and Temari seated in a sofa getting comfortable, as today some Japan officials along with heroes will be coming to discuss a few peace treaty contract. Kankuro, sigh, do we really have to meet with those Japan scum? Temari. Kankuro. Izuku. It's okay for you to hate them, Kankuro. I also hate them, but don't let your anger and hate towards them blind you. We will have to keep it professional with them unless they decide to start trouble. Kankuro, sigh, well you are the Kazekage and I trust you decision. Izuku. Thank you, Kankuro. Temari. What do you think they will ask us? Izuku. It had to be about the peace treaty that we Suna has maintained with them. They will probably ask us to send someone to UA as a sign to show our strong bond between us, like Snatch for example, who is staying at Japan and have a family of his own. Kankuro. What if they requested you to join UA? Izuku. That was taken into consideration, and I will just simply maintain my work as the Kazekage even from Japan, and besides I won't be alone there, you two will come with me as well. Temari. Of course, I wouldn't let my husband go there to Japan on his own. Knock, knock. The three looked towards the door as Izuku told the person to come in, revealing a shinobi who got on one knee. Shinobi. Kazekage done, the Japanese government and the heroes are here and are awaiting for your arrival. Izuku, nod, thank you. You could return to your post. Shinobi. Yes, Kazekage dono. The shinobi shunshined away from the building as Izuku stood up, placing his Kazekage hat on his head, and walked towards the meeting room with Temari and Kankuro following behind him. Hour prior, we could see the Hero Commission walking, followed by All Might, Principal Nezu and Eraserhead and Best Jeanist. All Might. May I ask why I am requested to come here, Madam President? Madam President. All Might, you are our #1 hero, not to mention we were told the Kazekage is 15 years old, so your image will be useful, not to mention having the principal of UA offer a recommendation to UA will be quite helpful to maintain the peace treaty between us and the Sand. Best Jeanist. Wow, is that young? He must be quite capable. Mara, yawn, he is indeed capable. In just 1 year he managed to bring Suna back to its former glory, and he is still improving. People are now comparing him to the 5th Kazekage who made his appearance in his coronation and called him his own son, that managed to solidify those who had doubts about him becoming a Kazekage at the age of 14. They were then greeted by the guards, but they did notice the hostility, but it was toned down. They were then patted for anything they deemed dangerous for the young lord and were immediately teleported to the meeting room where they took their seats, leaving the Kazekage chair empty. Anbu. Kazekage dono should be given a notice about your arrival, so stay put. The door later opened and walking inside was someone both Nezu, Aizawa and All Might didn't expect it was Izuku. Currently, Izuku walked inside as he saw his father, his uncles and Best Jeanist along with Japan government and Hero Commission. He wasn't bothered in the slightest by them being here. All Might attempted to stand to rush there towards Izuku, but in a second there were 2 katanas to his neck. Anbu 1. I suggest you stay down, All Might. Anbu 2. You're not to come close to Kazekage dono. Nezu. All Might, sit down. All Might reluctantly sat down in his chair as the Anbu jumped away, leaving Izuku to sit in his chair with both Temari and Kankuro standing behind his chair. Izuku. I welcome all of you into Suna village. I hope you forgive the villagers for the way they have welcomed you, but they don't have a nice image to Japan. Let me introduce myself. I am Izuku Subaku, the 7th Kazekage of the Sand. Best Jeanist. Thank you for welcoming us Kazekage Dono. All Might was on edge as he found his son who had no emotion towards him at all. Nezu was on edge but he would give a glare towards All Might to make sure he wouldn't do anything stupid that would cause an international problem and could result in the peace treaty to be broken. Aizawa didn't know how to react to all of this. Madam President, we wanted to discuss about the peace treaty that we have maintained with Suna for centuries now. Izuku, I assume such, state your demand. Madam President, I assume you know we have maintained a friendly relationship with Suna for quite some time now and we done it by sending 3 shinobis from your village to become heroes in UA or other hero school of their choice and we wanted to do the same. Izuku, that will be acceptable so who do you wish to have? Madam President, we are aware of your age and we wanted to see if you were willing along with the 2 shinobi behind you to attend UA under recommendation. The Japan representative were on edge as they requested something big as Izuku had his arm crossed as he looked towards the 2 behind him who nodded to him. He then took a deep breath. Izuku, I accept those requests but there are rules that we would like to place to ensure that Japan wouldn't be the only one to benefit from us. Madam President, sigh in relief, state your requests Kazekage Dono. Izuku, first with me being gone my work will be maintained online which wouldn't be efficient as me being here so our requests are quite simple and Japan has enough resources to help. First, if I decided to return to Suna for a meeting I wouldn't be held back from doing so. Second, we would like to be exempted from any normal classes since we are all advanced academically which could be tested by Principal Nezu that will allow me more time to balance myself between life at UA and my duties as the Kazekage. Third, we would like to request a hero license allowing us to use our abilities without being stopped by Japanese heroes or police and lastly a house near campus will be appreciated. Madam President, that is quite simple and is in our power. You will be given you license along with these 2 shinobis as this was already made plan of since you were the Kazekage and your safety is a must. Nezu, we could also handle the house near campus and the 3 of you will be tested for everything and will be left to your own devices. Izuku, now then, the meeting is dismissed. If you'd like to stay here in Suna I will have you escorted to your hotel unless you have an urgent matter to attend to in Japan. Madam President, thank you Kazekage Dono but we would prefer to return instead. Izuku, that's fine by me. Anbu, yes, Kazekage Dono. Izuku, escort them to the gates and make sure they are safe. Anbu, yes, Kazekage Dono. The Anbu grabbed the Japanese representative as he teleported them away. Izuku could see the pained face of All Might as he looked towards him but he simply didn't care about him enough to shed tears for him. Konkuro, well that went smoothly than I expected. Temari sighed, seeing that All Might guy made me want to slice him already. Izuku, good job you 2 in controlling your anger towards them. Izuku turned towards the 2 with a smile as Temari gave him a peck on the lips as they walked outside to their home to rest after a long day. No one pav. Hectic could not describe what the Yagi were feeling right now as after All Might returned from his travel to Suna that he relayed everything to his wife and daughter. Inko didn't know how to feel about her son being alive and doing even more well than before. She didn't know if she should be proud that her son became the Kazekage of the Sand, a feared village that even the Commission of Japan had to maintain alliance in fear despite their anger, or be afraid and intimidated that her son hold even more power than her in the tip of his finger. If she is honest with herself, the idea of using her position as a hero to get Izuku back came to her mind at one point as she couldn't bear that if her son would be found that he would have a deep resentment that he would even cut ties with them, and she wished to make amends at a fast pace rather than leaving Izuku to take his own pace. Being desperate can lead to catastrophe, but now that idea was out of the window as even she knew how much this alliance is important to their country. Izumi would be lying if she didn't feel relief that her brother was found alive and doing well, that managed to ease her guilt that was inflicting her for quite some time now, but now her brother is not only noted to be the strongest of the village, which she don't know how that even happened, but he was also the Kazekage, meaning that just a simple attempt attack could lead to a lot of problems. She dare even say that an insult could be enough to get you jailed because you were threatening a leader of a village strong enough to be on par with the heroes of Japan and even overpower them, as their village is situated in the desert, which gives them extreme advantage. The other families have been informed about Izuku's situation, and to say they were shocked was an understatement. The one who took it hard out of them all was Katsuki Bakugo. He couldn't simply accept that a guy he saw as a useless pebble on the side of the streets is now a hotshot and is leading an entire village which happened to be feared by the commission, and that is speaking volumes in itself. He could Only gaze at the quirk suppression cuffs and his ankle monitor with anger as small sparks came out of his hand. It was infuriating. It was a few years ago that when Izuku simply disappeared that things took a massive turn for the worst. For starters, his sister was utterly destroyed as she loved Izuku, and shortly after they were questioned in their involvement, of course he lied through gritted teeth, but to his surprise he was greeted by a cuff in an instance, as the one who questioned was no ordinary person. It was Detective Tsukauchi, who was known for his quirk lie detector. He was given a chance to confess, but he just threw that chance away when he decided to add salt to the already raging fire. He obviously insulted Izuku and said that he had every right to put him in his place. That was the wrong answer, as his chance of joining UA was quite slim to none. He was forced to do a lot of community service, something he greatly come to despise. An ankle monitor that he was strictly forbidden to remove it, and quirk suppression which happened to allow small spark out of his hand to help him release his sweat. Not to mention he was forced into multiple anger therapy, and each month he would check with Tsukauchi if he did anything that could be added to his file. He was also moved to another school as the Aldera was shut down, and every teacher was slapped with harsh sentence in prison, so his parents moved him to a military school, and to say he hated it was an understatement. He was whipped by his teacher. They weren't even impressed with his quirk and outright called him weak and laughed at him. He felt humiliated that someone like him that should be revered is being looked down on. Shoto Todoroki, although he was the most calmer compared to Bakugo, he still shocked to learn about Izuku as he gazed towards his little sister Shoka, who was deep in, though he had planned to make amends and have his sister date Izuku as a way to fix his foolish mistake of having his sister get involved in the bullying, even when she protested it at first. But he was clouded by fear that Izuku, his only friend who stood up to him, could even die, made him act irrationally. He didn't simply realize that isolation and being looked at with scorn and disappointment could be that painful. He now knew what Izuku felt for years, and he simply felt destroyed both mentally and physically. He was of course punished, but his sentence was lenient than that of Bakugo, as he came out clean, which they commanded him. For it he could only gaze at the sky as he wondered if being friends once more is even possible, with Izuku now being a leader of a powerful village so simply approaching him, well, have his head flying in the air. Shoka and Katsumi were the two who felt relieved at the news of Izuku being alive, as their guilt has stopped them from having a proper sleep and proper diet, so they were physically weak, but luckily their parents had forced them quite a lot to eat and sleep. But now learning that Izuku is the Kazekage made them realize that Izuku is in short term a royalty, and their goal of ever even marrying him, much less date him, was far from their reach. They have to admit that what they done was atrocious from their part. They were quickly forgiven as they were influenced by Katsuki, who manipulated them and their emotion, but they were not out of punishment, as they were given some community service and to go to a therapist. The parents couldn't describe the joy they felt when Izuku news reached their ears. Some even felt extremely proud at Izuku being the Kazekage. They were by far the only ones who showed any form of affection to Izuku in his childhood, but they were never there for the most part, as each had a responsibility to carry. Gran Torino and Endeavor has took pleasure in taunting All Might at how successful Izuku is, as it was no secret that the new Kazekage was taking Suna into a new level of strength. The mothers of the children were also relived and hoped that one day they could apologize for not noticing the sign. They just hoped that their children wouldn't do anything stupid, as this time Izuku has more power than all of them combined. No one POV. Location: Sunagakure. Izuku could be seen eye closed as he sat in a green sofa in a train. He wore a rather nice clothes befitting his title as the Kazekage. The clothes consisted of a crimson trench coat with several buttons and pants that matched the color of his trench coat. He also wears a brown belt and now has a smaller sand gourd which is strapped to his left side, as he found his previous gourd was slowing him down for the most part. Temari was seen laying her head on Izuku's lap, who simply wasn't bothered in the slightest as he petted her quite a lot, making her happy as she enjoyed his touch. Konkuro was seen watching in amusement at the couple. Konkuro: what are you going to do, little bro, when you see them? Izuku: sigh, that depends on what they will do if they attack, which I hardly see happening considering that they would have been warned by All Might about my position. I will have them blacklisted from any hero school. As for All Might and Psychic, well, I will force the commission hand by revealing things they did, and I am sure they wouldn't want to get on our bad side. Temari: smirk, I like that idea. Those commission are playing in our hand the whole time, but I got to admit what this old hag said took some guts to ask a leader of a village to become a hero in their school. Izuku was amused as he had to admit being shinobi has been much better than being a hero, as heroes fill themselves with lies about sense of safety, not to mention they would even hesitate to kill a bird, but killing is something common in their field of work, not to mention he considered the heroes as slaves that are binded to the commission. He was glad that they agreed on his demands, as he wouldn't have accepted it if they weren't willing to offer something in return. Izuku, I have to admit heroes in Japan are weak-hearted and lack the guts to end someone's life who was quite dangerous to them, which ended rather unfavorably for them. I am starting to wonder how they even survived for that long. Kankuro, I am surprised that you agree with her given that you once loved the concept of hero. Izuku, well, not anymore. I am the Kazekage, something far better and important than those slaves that follow the commission like a dog on a leash. I am not trying to sound rude, but that is the hard and cold reality. They just want create soldiers. They think that having us three, with one of them being the Kazekage, would give them a sense of safety, but they are in a rude awakening, and besides I will not play in their hands. Kankuro, mouth gaping, damn. You were roasting the heroes so hard, little bro. Temari, grin, well, that's my future husband for ya. A knock came to the door as they looked towards it, giving signal for the person to enter, who turned to be a Suna ninja. Suna ninja. Kazekage dono, we will reach our destination in 20 minutes. Izuku. Thank you. Now you are dismissed. Suna ninja nod as he walked away. The group of three sighed as they prepared themselves, as they knew they will meet some people who will escort them to their new home. After 20 minutes they were seen walking outside the train to be greeted by the sight of the principal of Uenezu and the commission, obviously. Madam President, I welcome you to Japan. Kazekage dono. Izuku. Thank you, Madam President. Madam President. Now, Principal Nezu will be escorting the three of you to your new furnished house. They nodded as they were led to a car, but they could obviously see how tense Nezu is. He didn't even start a conversation so far, and Izuku preferred it that way. Kankuro and Temari could be seen slightly snickering at how tense Nezu is, but they simply didn't care. Getting inside the car and buckling their seat belt, they took off. Izuku. Thank you for escorting us to our new home, Principal Nezu. Nezu. It's really nothing, Kazekage dono. The silence was then maintained as Izuku could see that Nezu is scared, which is understandable. He is sitting in front of the cage of a feared village, not to mention it was the son of All Might of all people, the one who was abused and neglected. Izuku sighed as he decided to ease the man's nerve. Izuku. Principal Nezu, I could see that you are carrying a lot of stress, and simply need to remind you that I hold no grudges against anyone. My father Gaara has taught me that holding grudge is futile and only cause pain and suffering. Besides, you didn't contribute to the bullying and neglect years ago, so you have nothing to worry about. That seemed to do the effect as Nezu relaxed slightly, that he was now having his back relaxing to the chair instead of hunching down. He took a sip from his tea. Luckily it hasn't gotten cold, so he was able to enjoy it. Nezu. Thank you, Kazekage dono, but I need to ask you, are you going to ever consider forgiving your... How do I say this? Izuku. I know what you are trying to imply, and to answer your question, I am willing to trust them as a hero, but as a parent I simply won't see them in the same light as before, not to mention my father Gaara has been there for me compared to All Might. As for Izumi, same as her parents, I won't see her in the same light as before, maybe as a classmate, but any other than that is currently impossible, as I have Kankuro as a brother. Kankuro smirked triumphantly as to have been recognized as a brother figure to Izuku, while Temari was amused at her brother antics. Nezu. I see. Nezu has already expected that answer, but he didn't expect Izuku to be forgiving or the fact that he is willing to trust them as heroes, but he knew as much as anyone that Inko and Toshinori will not be happy, but he could only make sure to keep them in check as he doesn't want to anger Izuku or to test his patience. The car ride has remained silent for the duration of the 1 hour before they arrived at a large house. No one pav. Location. Izuku Mansion. Izuku could be seen waking up from his sleep as next to him was Temari, sleeping in nothing but her bra and panties. Izuku stood up as he was in his boxers as well and shook Temari gently. Izuku. Temari, wake up. Temari. Just 5 more minutes. Izuku. Well, today is the entrance exam. Temari opened her eyes groggily as she stood up, giving Izuku a peck on the lips before she headed towards the bathroom, leaving Izuku to prepare his clothes that he will take with him. Not 10 minutes later, Temari walked outside as Izuku took her place to take a shower, with Temari wearing her shinobi clothes and left to prepare breakfast for all of them. Izuku walked out of the bathroom shortly as he wore his trench coat but added a cloak as well, with his Kazekage hat hanging on his back, and he walked out of the room to the dining table where he saw a sleepy Kankuro. Kankuro. Damn it, I really don't want to go there to watch some stupid kids destroy robots. Izuku. Sorry Kankuro, I would have went there by myself. Temari. Izu-kun, don't worry, we chose to come right Kankuro. She said Kankuro name menacingly, who could only nod quickly, with Izuku chuckling quietly at the siblings' antics. They ate some basic Suna breakfast before they washed their teeth and made sure they were prepared and headed outside to be met with a limousine, an expensive one at that. Izuku sighed while Kankuro was amazed. Izuku. Well, they really didn't need to go that far. Temari. Well, you are the Kazekage, they want to ensure your safety, that's all. Izuku nodded as the chauffeur exited the limousine and opened the door for the two siblings and the Kazekage to get inside. Chauffeur. Greetings Kazekage Dono, I hope you enjoy the ride. Izuku. It is much appreciated. After getting inside the limousine, it started to drive towards UA, which took roughly 10 minutes considering that the mansion was quite close to the school. Temari. So all we have to do is watch the entrance exam. Izuku. That is correct. I also believe that our opinion will be taken into consideration, so be vigilante on what you say because they could take it seriously. Kankuro. Wow, but I am also quite curious as to how the kids will perform in the test. Izuku. Well, we will have to see for ourselves. No one pav. Location. UA Gate. The limousine stopped in front of the UA Gate, which surprised the students who started taking pictures of it. The chauffeur came out as he opened the door for the three to walk out, as some were gazing lustfully at Temari, who glared at them, making them turn around in fear. But what surprised everyone was Ectoplasm, who bowed his head to Izuku. Ectoplasm. Greetings Kazekage Dono. Principal Nezu has apologized for not being there to greet you personally, so he sent me to escort you to the staff room. Izuku. It is no problem with me, and thank you for escorting us. Ectoplasm nodded as the three walked behind him as he guided them inside, with people shocked that a leader will be attending to watch them personally. Ectoplasm was quite impressed with how humble and down-to-earth Izuku is as he stood in front of the monitor room door. Knocking on the door 3 times, which is a code to them, he opened the door shortly after when he got the confirmation. Nezu. Greetings Kazekage Dono, I would like to apologize once more for not greeting you personally. Izuku. It is all right Principal Nezu. No one pav. Location. Monitor room. Izuku observed the room to see the staff room, who give him a bow in sign of respect, and the recommendation student, which was Momo Yaoyorozu, Shoka Todoroki, Shoto Todoroki and Izumi Yagi. Izuku wasn't bothered that they are here, despite his dissatisfaction that they were not stripped of their recommendation. Izuku was then guided to a leather chair where he sat on it, with Temari sitting next to him in his right and Kankuro sat on the left. Izuku observed around him to see ectoplasm clones surrounding the recommended student, well, to be accurate, around Izumi, Shoka and Shoto, because they don't want them to do something stupid that will screw them up. He also noticed the tense atmosphere and knew he had to do something. Izuku, kindly, you should proceed to do what you usually do. I am not holding any of you back, and those who want to ask me something ask right away. I am not someone to be easily angered, so don't worry. Some people relaxed, but some were slightly tensed. Aizawa decided to take this opportunity to ask a question. Aizawa. So how is it like being Kazekage at your age? Everyone looked at Izuku as they were also curious at how he feels about the position. Izuku chuckled. Well, it's nice aside from the paperwork that is, but it warmed my heart to see the people smiling. That makes me know that I am a good leader to them and that they are quite happy with their life. The staff felt relieved and also impressed with how wise Izuku is despite his young age, and knew that he isn't like those arrogant and stuck-up leaders, so they got a little relaxed. Nezu laughed. Well, glad someone understand the struggle of paperwork. Izuku. Well, I usually use sand clones to do my work, which makes it much easier. Ectoplasm. Well, I do that a lot often, and that is something I am grateful for. Nezu. Now they should be starting the written portion. They watched as students were filling their papers, those who struggled and those who cheated but were easily caught doing it and were given 0 mark on their exams. Izuku. Well, that is good of them. I could see some intellectual people. Nezu. That is, I do hope to meet others who could give me quite a good fight in knowledge. They then continued watching as Present Mike tried to cheer up the people, but they were quiet, and Izuku felt bad for him, but he started to explain about the robots only to be interrupted by a blue-hair kid, and Temari had a tick mark already as she disliked people with that attitude. Temari. Really? Calling out a school that is known to be the #1 because of a misprint? If he doesn't like it, then he should reconsider going to another hero school. Aizawa. Glad we are on the same page, Lady Temari. Izuku. Well, if he ever passed the entrance exam, that attitude of his will be knocked down when he see the true reality of the world. Momo. What do you mean, sir? Izuku. What I mean is that the world is not sunshine and rainbow like you think. There are a lot of things that the commission would rather hide or change to not show the ugly side of the society. Tell me, everyone when they see a hero think he would always prevail, but sadly this isn't comic book. There are heroes who die on the line of duty because they either weren't strong enough or were too stuck up or arrogant. I for instance think that the only reason low-time villain are the only ones you see is because of All Might presence. Nobody would dare even make a scene when he is around, but All Might retire, a war will break out and the amount of crime will increase because heroes nowadays are reliant on him to save the day. Momo was now afraid. Along with the other recommended student, nobody realized how important All Might is to the society. Izuku. That's why we should nurture the next generation to be quite capable, and there will be more than one pillar, so when one fall, the entire society doesn't fall with it. Aizawa. Glad to know that you also share the same view as mine. Nezu. That is quite wise. I am also intending of doing so. Let's just hope that it wouldn't come to such conclusion. The participants were now divided into multiple battlegrounds as they stood up waiting for the start. The staff got comfortable as they watched as the door opened with Present Mike yelling at them that there is no countdowns in a real battle as they all rushed inside destroying robots. Some had impressive quirks and some had weak quirks, but they were doing quite well for themselves. Katsuki and Katsumi was seen blowing each robot, with Katsuki smirking widely as he get to release his quirk at full power. Cementos. Quite a good batch this year. Vlad. Yes, especially those two blondes. Izuku thought, so they weren't told. What are you playing at Nezu? Nezu was quite nervous as he never told the staff except for those who will teach them about what to expect from them, and they were even reluctant to teach them anything or give them a chance to redeem themselves. The battle continued with them watching a girl with earphone jack and guys will multiple arms scouting for the robots. It came to the point where Nezu decided it was time to release the zero-pointer and launched it. Midnight. Is it wise to send the zero-pointers early in the game? Izuku. Heroes should know that villains attack whenever they want and whatever time they want, so they should get adjusted to that because villains won't play fair. Nezu. He's as right. Midnight. The zero-pointer obviously emerged from the ground with people running away and screaming, making the staff extremely disappointed in how they are reacting. Temari and Kankuro were not impressed. It came to a point where a girl with brown hair and deep blush was stuck under a rubble. People ran past her, not even batting her an eye despite her plea of help. That disgusted Izuku, who was angry. Izuku then in an instant brought his hand out as he manipulated the sand in the city to grab the injured girl and move her away to the front of the city ground. Izuku. How disappointing to those who ran past the girl who was pleading for help. Nezu. They are already disqualified from the exam. We don't want those type of people in our school. Temari. You should also consider removing the grape kid. He doesn't have much redeemable quality going for him. Aizawa. I have to agree, the kid has been crying the whole time, not to mention he was looking at the girls perversely. Nezu. That will be done. Who do you recommend take his place and join UA? Izuku. The brainwashing kid, Hitoshi Shinso. I believe his quirk is quite useful. In my opinion, he just need combat training, that's all. Aizawa. I will take over his training. Nezu. Then Hitoshi Shinso will be in class 1A. The brown hair girl looked around to see the confused participants. They never knew where the sand came from and assumed that the staff was involved in it, so she was healed by recovery girl and left. Izuku. I believe the test is over. We will be taking our leave. Nezu. That is fine. Bias, let us escort you safely to your ride. Izuku. You don't need to do such thing. Nezu. I insist. Izuku nodded as Nezu escorted them to the limousine which took them back to their home. Izuku has noticed how many times Shoka and Izumi tried to approach him, but Ectoplasm had his hand holding their arm firmly. No one pav. Izuku was seen getting out of the car along with his fiancée Temari and his brother-in-all but blood Kankuro. It was already a little early for them despite them not going to be part of the quirk assessment test, but they are representing their village and doesn't want to be known for being late at everything. Kankuro. Why did I have to wake up that early if we are not going to be part of this annoying quirk assessment test? Temari. Glare. Kankuro, stop whining like a child. We accepted this, so we have to deal with it. Besides, we are only going to watch, nothing more and nothing less. Izuku. We are representing Suna here. Besides, we are given too much freedom to roam around the school unsupervised, so we should accept this and deal with it. Not to mention Principal Nezu informed me that there was a room made for us which have everything we need from office to work in, couch, TV and many more entertainment. Konkuro. On other hand, that doesn't sound so bad. I wonder if they have tuna. Izuku and Temari sweat dropped but were amused to say the least as we walked inside the school in search of the class where they will be going. It took them around 10 minutes to find class 1A. Izuku and Temari were holding blank expression and Konkuro was amazed at the huge door but also tired since he had to take too many turns in the school. Konkuro panting, "What the hell is this school, a maze?" Temari. Well, I have to admit it was quite long. I think Nezu likes to make his school long for students. Izuku. Well, Nezu being an animal with quirk, he was looked down quite a lot in the beginning, so he does this for revenge. Even the Zero Robots was a way to show everyone how he see everyone in his perspective. Izuku opened the door to find his classmate. He saw 2 Todoroki twins and 2 Bakugo twins and Izumi. He started walking inside followed by his Konkuro and Temari. He was about to take a seat when the blue-hair kid came running towards him. The kid made a hand chop. Iida. Hello, the name Iida Tenya of Somei Private Middle School. Who are you? I don't remember seeing you in the exam at all, and why are you not wearing the school uniform? Before Temari could answer him, they were interrupted by a voice from outside the class. He is the Kazekage of the Sand. Show respect. Everyone was shocked before Iida halted back a little intimidated before they looked at the door to see their teacher, who got out of his sleeping bag as he stood up taking a slurp from his juice box before he threw to God knows where. Aizawa. Hello students, my name is Shota Aizawa and I am your homeroom teacher for the next 3 years. Also regarding the Kazekage here, he won't be attending most of the classes since he also have his own duty to his village Suna, so we are making him comfortable in the school. Izuku. Hello, my name is Izuku Subaku and as was mentioned I am the Kazekage of the Sand. I hope we remain on good terms, so don't be tense around me. I am not going to hurt anyone. Next to me is my fiancé Temari Subaku and to my right is Konkuro and he is my brother in all but blood. Izuku extend a handshake towards Iida, who robotically handshaked Izuku, who was amused at how tense the guy is. Obviously Katsumi and Shoka were devastated when they heard about Izuku being engaged and lost hope. Aizawa. Now that is over, I want you all to take your PE uniform that you received with your UA clothes and meet me outside on the field, and be quick. Also, the 3 of you are exempted from the exams since we already know your skills. Izuku and Temari and Konkuro nodded their head as they shunshin towards the field, with Izuku taking Aizawa with him to the field. Aizawa. Thank you, Izuku. No problem. After 10 minutes everyone started going down to the field as Aizawa used his quirk intimidating the students. Aizawa. It took you all around 10 minutes to change. Normally that would take less than 5 minutes. Next time there will be consequences. Everyone shivered as they nodded their head, not wanting to be on the bad side of their teacher. Aizawa. We are gonna be doing a quirk assessment test. Everyone shout quirk assessment test. Uraraka. Sad, but orientation, we are gonna miss it. Aizawa. If you really wanna make the big leagues you can't waste time on pointless ceremonies. Here at UA we are not tattered with traditions. That means I get to run my class as I see fit. You've been taking standard ice test most of your life, but you never got to use your quirk in physical exams before. The country is still trying to pretend we are all created equal by not letting those with the most power excel. It's not rational. One day the Ministry of Education will learn. Katsuki Bakugo, you managed to get the most point on the entrance exam. What was your farthest distance throw with a softball when you were in junior high? Bakugo. 64 meters, I think. Aizawa. Right. Try doing it with your quirk. Anything goes, just stay in the circle. Katsuki nodded his head as he took the ball from Aizawa's hand and went inside the circle. He brought his hand to the back as he charged as many explosions as he can before throwing it in the air, exploding as it destroyed sound barriers. Aizawa. 650.5 meters. I know this is lower than his score in anime, but since he had for years quirk suppression cuffs, he wasn't able to train his quirk properly. Everyone was in awe as they watched the smug Katsuki waiting the praises from the extras, which was noticed by Aizawa, Izuku, Temari and Konkuro, who shaked their head in disappointment. Kaminari. Disbelief. Whoa, 655 meters. Aizawa. No, that's not impressive at all, it's barely the average score. Katsuki got a tick mark. He was irritated that even after getting praised by those extras the teacher was quick to put him down and tell him that it was basically pathetic score, not even passing the average score. Mina exited. I wanna go, that looks like fun. Zero excited, this is what I am talking about, using our quirks as much as we want. Aizawa hair covered his face before he brought it up with a huge shit-eating grin. Aizawa, shit-eating grin, so this looks fun huh? You have 3 years here to become a hero. Do you think it will be games and playtime? Idiots, today you will compete in 8 physical tests to gauge your potential. Whoever comes in last has none and will be expelled immediately. Everyone was terrified except for Izuku and his group as they looked in worry at Aizawa, who was unfazed and clearly enjoyed their desperate looks. Aizawa. Like I said, I get to decide how this class run. Understand? If that's a problem you can head home right now. Uraraka, scared, you can't send one of us home. I mean, we just got here. Even if it wasn't the first day, that isn't fair. Aizawa. Oh, and you think natural disaster or quirkless treatment him, a power-hungry villain him, a catastrophic accident that wipe whole city? No. The world is full of unfairness. It's a hero's job to try to combat that unfairness. If you wanna be a pro, you are gonna have to push yourself to the brink. For the next 3 years UA will throw one terrible hardship after another at you, so go beyond plus ultra style. Show me it's no mistake that you are here. Izuku. Permission to speak, Eraserhead. Aizawa. Granted. Izuku. There is something all of you need to know. In our village, when we teach to the younger generation in the academy, we always tell them that the world isn't sunshine and rainbow. For most of your lives you have been shielded by the dark side of the society. Heroes dies as well. If you think that the heroes always defeat the villains like in those comics books, then you are dead wrong. Just ask yourself this questions. Are you willing to train hard to become a good hero? Are you willing to sacrifice your life for the good of society? Do you aim for top or aim for less? What purpose do you have in becoming a hero? They say knowing what you want strengthen your resolve in achieving your dream. Example is your number 2 hero Endeavor. From his name, his goal is to arrest as many villains out there and become number 1 someday. And right now Endeavor is known for surpassing All Might in terms of numbers of arrested villains, and he is pretty close at getting the number 1 hero position. Everyone watched in awe at the speech as everyone looked to their fist and their eyes are lit in determination. Aizawa smirked and Nezu, who was watching from afar, was grinning. Nezu. It was a good decision inviting him here. He managed to lit the fire in everyone's eyes. They were right when they said that he is good with speech. This year's look promising than I anticipated. Endeavor. I am happy that he see me as a good idol. See that All Might, that's what you have been missing. The same kid you throw to the side is now the Kazekage and is doing a good job at teaching the students. All Might and Psychic were in awe and didn't know if they should feel pride in their son for achieving a lot of things at such a young age, or be disappointed in themselves for not being the ones there to support him when he needed them the most. Aizawa. That is absolutely correct. Iida then brought a water bottle and drank from it as he had his head somewhere else. Iida thought, if I don't approve of this kind of hazing, but UA is the top hero program, I have no choice. Aizawa. Now then, we just wasting time by talking. Let the games begin. Time skip. The test went quite quickly as they watched as the Bakugos, Todorokis and Izumi dominated the test. Aizawa. Alright, time to give you your results. I've ranked you all from best to worst. You should probably have a good idea if you're standing already. I will just pull up the whole list. It's not worth going over each individual score. Aizawa pressed the button revealing a holographic screen showing the result. The score was Izumi Yagi first, Momo Yaoyorozu second, Shoto Todoroki third, Katsuki Bakugo fourth, Shoka Todoroki fifth and Katsumi Bakugo sixth. Last place Hitoshi Shinso. Shinso gripped his fist slightly, which showed blood. He was not pleased in the slightest. He just go in the hero course because he was recommended by an unknown person who he wanted to thank. Aizawa. Hitoshi Shinso, you are not expelled. Everyone. What? Shinso. Why? Aizawa. Simply put, Kazekage here, point at Izuku, was the one who recommended you in the hero course. He saw potential in you and your quirk. He informed us that you needed some motivation along with hand-to-hand combat training and you will become a good hero, something that I also agree on. So after school I will take you on as a personal student since we are alike. Hitoshi sighed in relief before he bowed to Izuku, who smiled. Shinso. Thank you so much for recommending me to the hero course. I am eternally grateful. Kazekage Dono. Izuku. Raise your head, just make sure to train hard and show the ones who called your quirk villainous that you are a hero material. Shinso. Yes, Kaminari, mutter, isn't that favoritism? Izuku. No, it's not favoritism since Shinso is probably the type who would like to stay away from the media, an underground hero to be exact, and there is no one better or suited for this job than a Eraserhead who is an underground pro hero. Besides, all of you have good quirks for battles while his could be good for interrogation, so if the two were to work together they will be a powerful duo with Aizawa Erasure quirk along with Shinso Brainwash quirk. Momo. They will be unstoppable duo. Aizawa, smirk, you know what, that is a good idea. Shinso, what type of hero do you want to be? Shinso. An underground hero sensei. Aizawa. Well, good, I will show you the ropes on how to become a good one. Also, it will be nice having someone help me with my job. Shinso. Also, I am a big fan of you, sir. Aizawa, smirk, well, I never knew I had a fan, but that's it, we're done for the day. Pick up a syllabus in the classroom and read it over before tomorrow morning. As for Shinso, I will be giving you tomorrow the personal training schedule. Everyone then started to leave towards the changing room as they picked their syllabus and headed out of school. Izuku was seen walking outside the school along with his fiancée and Konkuro and got inside the car which took off. Konkuro. Today wasn't that bad, I guess. Izuku. Well, glad you enjoyed yourself. Temari. I am really pissed with how they let Katsuki stay in the school, especially when his trashy personality haven't changed. Izuku. They probably didn't want to have someone like him going around using his quirk to nuke everything around him. His quirk is after all quite dangerous. Temari. I am still not happy with this, but I will see what he will do from now on. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and now we will see you in the next video.